All right, I want to introduce our next speaker. I mentioned to you guys that I was part of a program called the Craig Proctor program years ago, and I'm dating myself a little bit back, but back in 2006, I ended up being asked to be a coach. You know, I was able to show success in the program, and you know, from there they asked me to be a coach. So we're on a panel similar to this, and it was a bunch of coaches, and at the end, it was like 9 o'clock at night. It was a grueling 3-day conference. And at the end, a lot of the coaches and everyone would go to the bar and have a cocktail hour like we're going to be doing here. And I was on there, and I remember being a new coach. I said to some of the other coaches, what do we do after? And they said, listen, whatever you do, because there's 1,500 people now in this room that we were speaking to, 1,500 people. They said, whatever you do, come down the stairs, go back to this little door, go down the hallway, and then go downstairs to the bar. Do not walk through the main center, because you're going to get attacked. And that would happen. A lot of times we come off stage, you get attacked with a bunch of questions. So I remember doing that, going down to the bar, and our keynote speaker, which is Danny Griffin, a great friend of mine, he wasn't at the bar. And I kept saying, where's Danny, where's Danny? So about an hour and a half later, a couple drinks later, I'm on East Coast time. I'm tired. It's like 1, 2 in the morning, right? Because it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock there, and you know, I'm on East Coast time. So I start walking back to my room, and as I'm walking by the ballroom, I look, and there's Danny talking to a group of people at the stage. He was sitting on the stage talking to a bunch of people. So I went over, and there was a kind of a code with coaches where if you were in a situation where, you know, because a lot of times you got to go to the bathroom, right? You got to go to lunch, you got to eat. So you're on a time schedule, and sometimes if you're getting questions by a lot of people, you can't get to that. So there was a code amongst the coaches that, hey, if I see that, you know, you're talking to someone or you feel, you know, you need to get somewhere, we'll kind of interrupt and say, hey, Danny, we got to go to this next meeting, let's go. So I went in and I saw Danny there talking to people, and I'm like, wow, he's been up here for like an hour and a half. So I go over and I listen to what he's talking about, and I said, hey, Danny, I said, we got to go, we got to do this, you know, meeting for tomorrow and get ready. And he says, calls me Poppy. He says, Poppy, don't worry about it. I got it. So I said, all right. So I decided to stay. He goes, you know what, why don't you weigh in on this conversation? And it was a couple. They were down and out. They were there on the last dime. They spent all this money to the conference. I told you, it's a very expensive conference. And they were looking for a way to survive and really to be, you know, this was the program that they spent all this money in to build their business. They wanted to build their business and get out of poverty. And so I listened to them and we weighed in on it. And I remember we spent probably another half hour with these people. And I remember feeling so great about it and going up to my room and then talking to Danny about it the next day. But the next day I come down to breakfast. What's Danny doing? He's doing a one-on-one with someone. Lunchtime, he's doing, you know, one-on-ones at lunch. The next day, he's doing the same thing on stage after. Everyone else takes off, they go to the bar. There's Danny with 10, 15 people around him. So the one thing I learned is that he did this conference after conference, night after night. And the two words that, you know, I was thinking about it today at like 5:27 a.m. to be exact. What are the two words that really describes Danny? And it's helping and serving. And that's what he does very well. And he's done that forever. And he's only a phone call away. If I ever need him, I just call him. And fast forward, we're doing this conference last year, and he calls me up and he goes, hey, what are you doing over there? What's this Real Estate Success Summit? And I said, well, it's kind of like what we were doing, helping, serving, being able to network, mastermind with agents. And you know, I gave him the script on it. He goes, tell me more. So I went over everything that we did. And I said, well, Danny, I said, you know, next year we're going to be doing it probably in June. And I was wondering, yes. And I'm like, I didn't even tell you what the hell I was talking about yet or what I need you for. He goes, I don't care. I just want to be part of it. I want to be part of it. I want to come out. I want to support you in this. And, you know, I feel that, you know, I'd like to give a lot of value because that's what he does, right? Help and serve. So, yesterday, I end up getting a text. And it says, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I've been passing a kidney stone all week. You guys know what a kidney stone feels like? I don't, but I heard it's very bad. So I'm like, I don't know. What does this really mean, right? So next thing you know, hey, I'm in the ER. This is worse than I thought. Now I'm like, holy crap. You know, I feel bad for my buddy, but then he's the keynote speaker. So later that night, he says, listen, I'm back home. They said just to pass it. I'm going to do the best I can. I'll talk to you in the morning. So 2:30 this morning, 3:30 this morning, 5:27 this morning. I'm checking my phone. No Danny. I'm sorry, must be good news. So he calls me and says, hey, my wife is bringing me. I'm on pain pills, but I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to be out there. And Mr. Danny Griffin's in the room. Come on up, buddy. Love her, brother. Go for it, brother.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Have a good night. I didn't know I was coming here for Kareem's dating advice, but I mean, that's the highlight already. I'm outstanding. How to get your first date, buy a house, outstanding. Yeah, Willie, thank you. That's ridiculously humbling. Yes, I am in the middle, as I stand in front of you, passing a stone. So if I drop to one knee, I'm going to keep going, right? So as I thought about this for a long time, I started to think to myself, how do you come and just find somebody in this room that you can just change their life completely? How do you do that when you have all this knowledge? I mean, we've been doing it for so long. I mean, 23 years I've been in the business, doing it, coaching it. I do it to this day. I am an active broker owner. I'm an active luxury real estate agent. I'm going to come back to that in a second. And I'm coaching 35 to 40 people one-on-one 2 days a week. So you have all this knowledge and you have all this enthusiasm, and the first thing you want to do is, right? I want to give it all to you. And that's what he said. I've had a passion for this. I don't know how it happened, but once upon a time, I had a passion for this to serve. Now, I went to a school, a Jesuit school, so I have to credit Holy Cross with a philosophy to be a person for others. It is the number one calling in life. It's the number one currency, to serve, to be a person for others. It really doesn't matter what you do. That's the highest calling. And we have this unbelievable privilege to have a real estate license, to serve and help somebody with the single biggest financial and emotional transaction they ever make in a lifetime. What an unbelievable privilege that is. That should never be lost on us. We talk about transactions. We talk about moving the needle, commissions, investing. It's all wonderful, but we have to stay rooted in the basics. And that's one thing that my good friend Willie, we have slides. Can we put those slides up? Because I don't know if this is working. Willie always, anytime things got out of control with the economy, coaching, real estate in general, he would always say, back to the basics. Let's get back to the basics. He was a guy that was always grounded in that simple message. So when I thought about coming here, how do you serve him? How do you serve my good family friends in Albany? How do you serve? You bring you back to the basics. Now, I know a lot of you are veterans. My good friend Christine in the room, I've known her forever, crushes it, right? But you look at a top producer like that, and you want to just grab him and say, don't forget the basics. Because that's how this business ultimately works. In a world of social media, we can't wait to be on this platform and that platform, and we're starting to forget the people. So if you're young in this room, hear this message as loudly as you can hear it. Ultimately, until they're making robots and they're talking to each other, it's still a people-to-people business. Everything else is nothing but a tool to serve that human being with this transaction, which makes people crazy. I don't have to tell you all that, right? We want to tell each other, you know, it's nice. We'll go out, have a drink. We'll tell each other about the crazy people that we helped. You know why they're crazy? Because this makes them crazy. You go try to sell a house. My wife's in the back room. She was kind enough to drive this cripple up here today from Cape Cod. You should see us moving 5 kids in a 2-week period when somebody gave us the right price. 5 dumpsters later, you talk about crazy. So we have to get connected to that. And that's what I wanted to talk about, that I believe the best message I could give you, knowing what I know today, basics are best. And I'm going to tell you my anecdote because I don't want to be preachy. I want to tell you my story of how I really fixed my business. Willie and I were together in another business, coaching business for a long time. And when I got away from that, I went back to being the nerd that I actually am about this business, and I just studied. I went back to a lot of basics. I studied a lot of people all over again, from the Michael Gerbers of the world to the Jim Collins, I mean, on and on and on, the basics. I went back looking for core fundamental strategies that I could fix my business. I felt like something had gone wrong. Willie also talks a lot when we talk about transactional versus career agent. A career agent is connected to the people, but also they're business people. They see this as a business, not as something to do the next transaction. And my coaching members know that when I talk to them, be careful of going after those transactions. Your business goes into the tank so fast because all you're chasing is a number of transactions, and you forget this is a business. Profit first. That's what it is. It's about profit first. Can we have a slide there? There you go. So this was one of the first things that I realized about 10 years ago when I started to remake my business. Now think about what I'm saying. 23 years in the business, and I'm going to do a makeover of my business? You would think, huh? I just knew something was off. So instead of a tactical perspective, meaning what platform should I be on? How many times should I post? What should I say? All this fanaticism about getting out there, getting seen. What I said was, if I could get up above this business, right, what perspective would I get? I would get a strategic perspective. And that was something I learned in Michael Gerber's book, The Entrepreneurial Myth, a long time ago. You could just see if you were strategic in the process, you could see the whole business, not a piece of the business. This is a whole thing. Anybody in here is an employee as a real estate agent, or are you all independent contractors? Okay, so you're all business owners. I don't care whether you own the brokerage or not, you're a business owner. So I thought to myself, we have to think strategically. And so when you look at that strategically, you become a little bit of a manager. Instead of a doer, transactions, how many, where, you're running all around, you're making decisions. I'm not saying you, I'm saying me. I was talking to myself. Here I was, a top producer in my first few years in this business at Realty Executives. I think I was in the top 12 people in Realty Executives in a short order. And I'm chasing, but I just feel like something's wrong, and I knew better. I came out of the venture capital business, finance. I knew what good strategic businesses looked like. But here I was falling tactically. What's the number of transactions? How many times does your broker put somebody up here and say, hey, 500 transactions, and went broke doing it? I coached a lot of those people. When Willie and I were together, I watched people doing $3 million not making as much as somebody grossing $250,000. You heard what I said? Because they were chasing. So that strategic basis, just to look and say, how does this actually work, right? Can I have another slide, please? This was the question that was in Michael Gerber's book that just stopped me cold one day. I was listening to the audio version of this, and the question came up, how does the business really work? Not the way we all think it works. When we see these people at an open house or we get referred and all these great little components of it, how does it really work? So I imagine myself trying to put together my own mastermind, my own guides, and I put together my own board. And it turned out a lot of them were dead. Henry Ford. He was the first guy. Napoleon Hill wrote a fabulous, biblical, thick law of success book. And in there, he credits Ford with a lot of what he learned about success. So that hit me. Henry Ford was not known for building the automobile. It was the way that he did it. It was the perfection of an assembly line, a total process. And then I started to think, but how do you do that? How do you productize service? What do you do with that? We're service. We're not making cars. Yeah, but what if we are? What if we are? What if the thing that we're trying to manufacture is a happy past client? It's not a sale. It's not a commission check. It's a happy, satisfied past client. What if that's all we're trying to manufacture? How would that business look different from above? So I imagine myself walking up the stairs into a glass room, and I had Henry Ford there. I had Michael Gerber there, amongst many others. And I looked down at my assembly line, and I saw holes everywhere in the process. I didn't see things connected. I didn't see them contiguously. Something was off strategically. So I started to chunk them up into basics. And I started to ask myself better questions. Can we have another slide? Thanks. Before I could even think about creating that happy past client, by the way, which becomes the best asset your business will ever know, ever. Willie talks about referrals since the first minute I met him. Who's going to refer you if you're not manufacturing happy past clients? That's your base. But you have to ask yourself, in a business that's so commoditized, what really does make you different? That's hard to do, right? I've asked people that question in many contexts before. What makes you unique? Well, I have integrity. I'm honest. I'm on time. We start with these qualities come out of our mouth, but we never really think about serve. How do you serve? What if that could be the unique selling proposition in and of itself, I ask myself. What if I just thought about serving them my way, not worrying about what you all do? Being excited for you all and whatever that you do. But what if I could just be honest with myself about how to serve uniquely? And it changed my life. About 4 years ago, it really sunk in. But asking these questions changed my real estate life completely. Because I was moving in the recession, I was moving towards more transactions, which were getting uglier and smaller, and people were getting more desperate at the lowest end of my business. It was desperately difficult. Because I wasn't up above the business. I wasn't seeing that at the median price and above, there was plenty still happening regardless of the circumstances. Smart money wakes up in a recession. If we finally find this recession that we can't seem to find, which the Fed's trying to put us in desperately, there's going to be a massive opportunity. But it's not going to be necessarily at the desperate end. The real estate owns, the bank foreclosures, the short sales. It's not necessarily there. Smart money wakes up and it goes to work. All the investors that were just up here, they'll go to work, but they don't have to go to the lower end. Buffett has a great line. When the tide goes out, you really find out who's not wearing any pants, right? And it's not just poor people. Kareem, that was not dating advice. But this is a really important thing. Here's what I did. Steal it from me, because it's simple. What I did was I thought, what if I could give away my best what-to-do information for free? Wouldn't that make me unique? In a world where we're all so scared of not having the next transaction, we don't think to give it all away. That was a really hard concept for me to grasp. To give it all away? My best stuff? To give it away? What if my competitor gets it? What if they take it and sell it by themselves? All of those fear-based ideas that go through your head, I went through. But I knew that giving away your best what-to-do information for free was a core marketing concept that's not new. It's been around forever. You go down to Madison Avenue and you study any of the greats, Ogilvy and the rest of the crowd. They gave away some of their best what-to-do information for free. Now, of course, the upsell was something paid, but they started by giving away their best. So I sat down at Starbucks and I said, if I had a seller in front of me and I had a buyer in front of me, what would I give them for free? I'd give them my service advice for free. And I wrote 2 short booklets on what this was all about when you were buying or selling. See, we think everybody's so savvy. We think everybody already knows, oh, he's so savvy, he's a doctor, he knows what he's doing. I had a neurosurgeon look at me and goes, you wackos have your own set of language. I had no idea what you were talking about. This is the top of the food chain in medicine, saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. So don't ever discount the knowledge that you have, I thought, but make it 5th grade simple. Nobody wants hard. We all want the easy button. Everybody does. And I learned that, and it has been so lucrative to learn that. I mean, unbelievable. I just listed, I have to scratch my head when I say this, because I typically sold a lot of properties back in the day when Willie and I were up and coming in this business, $315,000 to $400,000. I just listed a $13.5 million property, and I'm close to a 5.8. If you don't think what I'm teaching you is real, I'm as real as it gets. I do this today, and I want you to be successful today. And it doesn't matter how small or big your resume is. It's how you start to think about this business, any business for that. Can we have a slide, please? So what I really did is I realized that when you're chasing a lot of transactions, you suddenly see too much, and there's a cognitive burden on your brain, and you say, I'll go anywhere. I did the same. I'll go anywhere. I'll do business anywhere. Wherever somebody needs me, I'll go. Well, in my case, originally, it was just Cape Cod. Now, if you look at Cape Cod, you can go from Provincetown all the way out to Woods Hole. It'll take you about 2.5 hours. I can leave the middle of the Cape and be in my other market, downtown Boston, in half the time. But I said, I did Cape Cod. That's what I said. Big mistake. Back up in the room with Henry, back up in the room with Michael Gerber, looking down at the business. Where do you really want to work? Really? I'd really want to work in these 4 or 5 villages in my town of Barnstable and anything contiguous to that. So I had a real answer. I had microed the area. So now you say to yourself, yeah, but it's not going to be enough. Okay, so let's do the math, I said. Went into MLS, and I looked in MLS, and I took those areas. Now, during the recession, I was concerned. I said, they might not be enough. I looked in the recession, really 2012, it really hits us pretty hard in the Cape. There was over 800 sales in my own town. Right off the dock, right under my nose, they were right there. And then when I segmented them, and I started getting really smart, I said, how many at the median price and above? Let's think profit, Danny. We're back up in the room with these guys, and they're telling you profit is the king. Profit's the only thing, not the number of transactions. So when I looked down, I couldn't believe how many luxury sales at $1 million and above had taken place in a place I could ride my bike to, instead of 2.5 hours spread out. Then, the next slide, please. Then I got a little bit greedy, even deeper. Who do I really want to work with? Who do I really want to serve? Now again, it's tough for a guy to say this like I would serve. If I thought there was somebody to serve and they want my help, I'm going. But I have to think like a businessman in this case. I had to think, who do I really want to work with? Well, I wrote these 2 beautiful unique selling proposition booklets. I packaged them up with other information to empower these people. Who's going to appreciate them? So I started to think, and who's going to be profitable? So I started to think median and above. Now I would say luxury, and that turns a lot of people off, and I get it in the Capital District. I get that you might not have the $13.5 million properties, but you have median and above. You have average or mean and above every day. And it's just a decision away to market to that segment of the marketplace. So where and who became such an easy thing for me to target my efforts. Of course, serve. When they come, they meet you somewhere, continue to serve them. But target the right people for your business. It's a business choice. This is a simple business when we think about it this way. Then the next thing, I can't believe how many people don't write this down. And as a coach, I've started to have I'm actually retrofitting this, right? I'm going back and making sure everybody does a simple spreadsheet, not a fancy CRM, not something fancy, something simple, something basic. What is the gross commission number that you want to earn? Not before, like, don't get into splits and all that. You're a business. You've made a decision to be at a broker wherever you are, okay? make a gross commission decision and make it a crooked one. I found out that the brain loves crooked numbers. It doesn't want you to say, I want 250,000. It wants you to say, I want $239,322. That's what I want, right? Because there was another book that changed my life called Psycho-Cybernetics, means mind steering systems, mind-blowing book to me. The Green Bay Packers used it to win multiple championships. It was written by a plastic surgeon by the name of Maxwell Maltz. Your brain is the most unbelievable guided missile that you could ever fathom. Your subconscious is the only manager you'll ever need if you program it correctly. If you tell it specifically where you want to work, and validate for your doubting Thomas side of your brain that there's enough transactions in there for you to make a living in there. And of course, if you need be, spread it out a little bit further, but stay with the who. Don't cheat the who. It's called an avatar. A marketing avatar is an extremely specific person with certain demographics and psychographics. And it really works. And your brain wants all of that to be hyper-specific. And when you have that, you have a real dangerous machine right between your ears. Because it will edit out all the noise if you can see those simple things. And it will make you resourceful for the things you don't believe you can do or that you have. Look, I might seem like the most confident guy in the world, but I spent far too long in this business not picking a fight with my competitors on Cape Cod and Boston at luxury. I'm as a rookie as any rookie can be right now in downtown Boston. I sat in a house at 5.8 million and I did all of this stuff. I gave my best unique selling proposition, and the question was, how many have you done on the hill? And I said, if you're looking for resume, I don't have what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a plan, I'm your guy. And I stuck in that room and I kept going. He said, I like this. Send me your proposal, meaning your listing contract. Because I was hyper specific in my brain. He was the one that I wanted to list, and his product was the one I wanted to list. Because it's very specific in my brain. So when I went in there, I didn't cheat. I don't talk on muscle anymore. I have plans. Everything that I do now is planned and specific because my brain doesn't want me to run away from the success that a good, organized, basic system will bring you. Every single business that you know, drive down the street. My wife and I just went down the street from Panera to McDonald's. They are systems. They have a system for everything. Take it from a guy that at 14 years old drove this really hot moped and a really tight Lycra uniform to McDonald's. I know exactly that you hit that buzzer and it went off for a certain number of seconds and you got the fries a very specific way. These things really work the more specific you are. Unfortunately for us as small business people, nobody preaches this method to us. Everybody wants to tell us about Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Come on. You think the guy at 5.8 was sitting on TikTok that night? Did I come in here with my big watches on or hardly any clothes on? Like, is that who we're... Come on. People want real people with real plans that they can trust with the single largest financial and emotional transaction they'll ever go through in a lifetime. Get a basic plan. Willie put something up on the screen, you know, his free training. I have the same thing. We're just trying to help you. Stay with the basics. All that other stuff is good if you're savvy and you know how to supplement it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a little tongue-in-cheek here today about social. I get it. Attention matters. But once you get the attention, what do you give them? Are you ready? Are you ready to give them your best stuff so that they magnetize into you? They can't help but want to do more with you because you've got a plan and you seem confident. I have a brand new agent. She's 21 years old. She walked into a house where the gal was distressed. This is how important this stuff is. This gal had a 25-year-old daughter who was a junkie. living in the streets with her junkie boyfriend and their baby in the streets. And she needed to get liquid on this house to take care of these people. My agent is 21 years old. She's been mentoring under my client care manager, Laura, who's been with me 19 years since she was 17. She walks in with our plan. She sits down. She executes it, and she blows 5 people out of the water. Not only does she get the listing, but she helps this lady who was in total distress because she just kept going back to the plan. Every time the lady would lose it, she'd go back to the plan, back to the plan. And slowly but surely, we helped this gal get liquid. And she was able to take care of her kids. This is a big deal. We're just losing that. So you want a competitive advantage, get back to these kind of basics. Now the question really is, well, how do you do this? I heard it up here. I think Kareem was saying it too, you know, or whoever was saying it up on the stage. Leads, 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 leads. They're everywhere. Because people are everywhere. They own houses everywhere around you. They own them in the targeted areas you want. You just have to pay attention. So that begs the question, the linchpin in this business is how will you prospect? So going back to the way that things are prospected these days, so many people are trying to get the best, like, pithy little video out there, hoping that what? That what? Somebody says, I want a copy of your plan. So you have to understand that the basics in prospecting are still alive and well. We do them every day in my own office, my own team, me. I do this right now. We pick the phone up. We read a very specific script to them, offering to give them our best what-to-do information for free. And you know what they say? Yes. Because there's no battle. Well, 30, 40 people have called me already. No, I understand that. I just wanted to give you some information that will help you sell it the next time, with or without us. And we own it. We just own that. We own it. To make that situation for that person better. It's why I would limp here 3.5 hours, crawl my ass across this stage to leave you better than I found you an hour ago. It's just the greatest currency in the service business that you'll ever have available to you. Because it works. Because we're all so tired. People are tired. Their lives are difficult. We're coming off of COVID. Crazy's out of the barn. It's never going back in. You all know that, true, right? It's not going back in. We're about to go into another heated election. Things are going to get crazy again, but you have a chance to be a beacon of stability for people in a major situation. You do. I do. We do. So when you prospect, you keep that basic human first. Everything primary is primary. If you can get face-to-face, that's the best. If you're not afraid to door knock and you know where there's an expired, you know where there's a for sale by owner, you know where there's a probate, you know where, on and on he goes. Leads are everywhere. And you can have some of your best what-to-do information. You can walk up to that person and you can give it to them. You can make a difference. And then you can trust that what happens is a magnetic thing changes. One of the things I did was I read a book by Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, called Influence. There are laws of behavior. And those laws of behavior are the way we actually behave, not the way we might think we behave. And the number one law that I latched onto when I was writing scripts, when I was putting together my listing presentation, was the law of reciprocity. Because the magnetic pull of reciprocity is staggering. When you give away your best what-to-do information for free to sellers and buyers, they magnetize to you. They suddenly see the unique selling proposition. They might not be able to articulate it, but they know you're different. Something's off. You've collided into the way everybody does it, and you got some attention. And that's what we're fighting for. But the irony is, it's not who's the loudest, who's the flashiest, Who's the corniest? It's none of that. You don't need that. You could be funny if that's your shtick. You could be serious if that's your thing. It doesn't matter. It's how you treat them. That law of reciprocity is an immutable, unbreakable law that turns them back to you. So when you're prospecting and you start by giving, now you have platform to go deeper. But then here's a thing that's just staggeringly a difficult situation in our business. You get these wonderful prospects who are listening to you, and then you don't have a follow-up system. You forget them. This has been something, I mean, I'm sure Willie could preach to this too. As a coach, this has just driven me batty. A couple of my guys here, but especially one, knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you can't put people in a bucket and serve them between when you first met them and when they're ready, you will lose them. You might as well see them like your sheep and you are the shepherd, and you're a lousy one if you forget them. You can't start well and not finish well in the prospecting and follow-up to client conversion process, right? And once they become a client, it really matters to go even deeper with not just giving away your best stuff for free in informational packages, but now it's your time. Are they an inconvenience to you because they're taking too long? They want to see 40 houses, not 10. They're taking too long. You need that check. It's not the way it works. What matters is not the speed with which you're doing it, it's how you sit them down, how you help them refine it, how you bring them from the outer ring of the bullseye in, especially with the duress they're all under in this day and age. Critical that you care for your clients, because remember what I started with. What am I trying to produce at the end of the day? A happy past client who's likely to repeat and refer. So I have to keep walking up and down like I am today pacing, so this stone leaves me alone. As you go up and down the assembly line, you're just simply looking at where is there a hole or an opportunity in yours. I'm walking you through a process left to right now. That's all these questions are, because these are the ones I ask myself, and then I put them in an order. So everything I've asked you today, as I asked myself, I started down here trying to get to my end goal. That's all I did. So now if I come all the way down here, how am I caring for these clients? In fact, because I was so busy with so many things, I dedicated one person to client care management. Laura, who started with me when she was a ripe 23 years old, has now been there 19 years, and is now going to Florida to become our broker in Florida. Because we empower people. That's what we do. It's the only thing that works. So we empower our clients to get to where they want to be, and we have to hold their hand in that moment. And now you start to turn the bend, and you can see that asset that you're creating. And you can, the check's coming, I know, it's good. But who's closing the deals? The closing process to me was the way we cross the T's, dot the I's, meant everything as to what they thought. Oh, you found him a great house, I said. I got him a good deal. I got to go get this other person down the end. I would dump him. I left him there. Oh yeah, we have a great closing coordinator. I was missing what leverage was. When you leverage with team, if any of you are big enough to have teams in here, bravo. But when you leverage with team, those people are supposed to help you leverage yourself so that you can be more of a hug at each stage. You can be that emotional support at every stage. When you build a team, you're empowering people by creating these jobs, but you're trying to free yourself up so that your service doesn't drop. You don't run away. You don't hide. You're the face of the business. Now, it's very difficult if you're in here alone, so if you're at a brokerage, you want to leverage these departments. You want to understand them. You don't dump and run on any of them. And then that brings it to this, right? The ending. You create all these past clients who are happy, and you forget them. You forget them. Now I know, at least at Miranda, Willie preaches a lot about past client follow-up, and he has for years, and he's the one that preached it to me. So I know that it's there, but still, these people are now family. So I changed it. It's like the mob now with me. Once you're family, you're never getting away from me, right? That's it. You're in. You're part of us. We're going to send you every single year for a very long time a happy property anniversary gift. We're going to send you like we are the financial advisor for you now for real estate. We're going to send you a monthly market update and mail you a quarterly one. And we're going to call you and say happy property anniversary. Simple. And now we get those referrals intentionally. We don't get them serendipitously and by accident because we understand the value of what's growing. So if you want to have an easier time, and again, the investors, they had a good point too about investing, but your business can be a business that gives back to you. It can be an investment that gives back to you, but it's how are you taking care of this asset you're creating? The asset is not just the cash that comes in, that comes and goes. All along this assembly line, it comes and goes. But at the end, it's that asset who can get you new business with a lot less investment and time. And all you have to do is treat them like family. You can go crazy with that whole concept. You can do parties, you can do whatnot. But if you do the basics, which is the whole theme here today, just the basics, fog the mirror with the basics, you'll be stunned at how simple and straightforward this business is. So I'll close with this. It really bothered me that I wanted to be at this place for a long time. I mean, in this room with you today. That all of a sudden, a kidney stone that's been sitting up there for years decided on the eve of this dang thing that it was going to go into, by the way, 6 millimeters, trying to squeeze through a 2 millimeter tube, right? I usually like to joke I'd come here and crawl over glass for you all, but I actually had to swallow some this time. It aggravated me. It aggravated me. And I was not going to miss this, no matter what. If they dragged me up here in a wheelchair, I still would have done it. Yesterday was ugly, by the way. You wouldn't want to see me yesterday. But the point is because I want to affect you today. I want to shit disturb something inside of you. I want to slow you down, and I want to encourage you that the basics matter because we have an incredible opportunity to be of service to a lot of people. And we don't really see the aftermath when we leave. You might even have somebody say to you, oh yeah, it was okay, yeah. And they blow you off. And you're saying, geez, I got him a great deal. You don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You don't know how deeply affected they are by what you're doing. So I'm going to ask you when I leave here today to trust that this is a privilege to have a license. It's a privilege to serve people. And it's my privilege to try to instigate you to do that at a deeper and more basic and a simple level. So you don't go out of this room feeling angst. That you start to bring down your angst and you start to at least rest it here so you can hear what I said today and you can put it to work for your business because this can be a wonderful business. It can be a lucrative business, but it can be one of the most fulfilling businesses that there is, to be of service to other people. So I'll close by saying, like my good friend, I give more away right there on Facebook every Wednesday. You know why? Because I copied his service example. Because that's what he does. And I know what I know, and I know what he knows. So we give it away. If you want to learn more, you can go there. But if you don't, I just want to say it has been my privilege to stand here wounded in front of you and to give you this message because I hope that you will go into Greater Albany and you will positively affect other people's lives. Thank you.
Stay there. Stay there.